Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining. We have Alex back with us from Indigo Light YouTube channel. How's it going, Alex?
I'm awesome. How are you doing, Shane?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I know people have been experiencing all sorts of symptoms and we've got all sorts of shifts with energies and stuff.
Absolutely.
And I love that you can always bring us some insights on all of this, man, because
Absolutely.
you just never know. There's a lot to navigate all of this. So what's been going on? What do we have coming up and how are you, sir?
I'm awesome. New developments. Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure. I
No problem.
resonate a
Good
lot
to
with
have
the
you back.
channel. Developments. Definitely a difficult period.
Yeah.
I think that in March we had a kind of a stagnation period whereby there was also a retrograde cycle, and we were meant to pause the moving forward, go within, and solve some core issues that we had to resolve. And April has definitely been a push forward in terms of inertia. May, I find, has a unprecedented momentum in terms of things happening. So I think the underlying cause for all this is that we've been kind of waiting for I'm going to call it D-Day, for the 5D arrival day, and we're supposed to, from my perspective, accept that it's already here and we have to start creating. So if we're not happy with certain circumstances in our lives, it's really up to us to make things happen, to put things into effect. And I feel May is a big push forward. The only problem is our ego and our reticence to accept that we can actually do things now. We don't have to wait for, a future date that may or may not come, and to not be our own obstacles. This is what I'm seeing. So definitely a month to create and to do. As the sun is shining, the winter is gone. But it's really up to us in our acquiescence to let things go that no longer serve and get into creation mode.
That can be really hard to let things go, can't
Absolutely.
it? So these energies help bring that stuff to the surface, though, huh?
Yeah. It's, I feel like, well, we all know this. The planet is, a sphere, and it has this kind of pummeling of energies that envelop the planet, and they affect all of us, whether we know it or not. The ones that are more sensitive are meant to help awaken, generations to come. You, I, whoever is watching, I will assume. And, they affect us in a different way. They affect us in a more powerful way. If you have a certain blockage in your chakra and you have a, wave X meant to deal with your throat chakra issues or something along those lines, it will bring these things to light. It may not be a comfortable experience, but it is not here to punish you, just asking you to deal with these things because you no longer need them. And then, of course, it's the ego, whether you're, ready to release or you want to get into, victimization or creation. That's, I think, the choice here.
That's a good point. I do notice that difference in victimization and
Yeah.
creation. It's like, where it's like the world's down on you, they're out to get you, or you just take this proactive role and you say, no, I'm in control of my reality and I'm going to step into this role. And I think, you bring up ego, and I think in this community we have sometimes have a problem with people not stepping into their role because they feel like they're too much into ego. So it's really a balancing, isn't it, between this,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think any kind of self-obstructing behavior like criticism doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
We're not perfect as the way we think we should be because we're perfect the way we are. So we, A, should accept that. And B, to put in the work in terms of ourselves, in terms of dealing with our ego. Okay, so I feel like it's not always addressed. It's not also always recognized, but we are exactly where we chose to be. We're exactly where we're meant to be. Nobody's to blame for that. It's convenient sometimes to put blame on an external party, but it's not going to solve anything. It's important to take responsibility. And if you're in a jam, you got yourself in a jam to learn from it. It's not a punishment. Once again, let's extricate the lesson. Let's move these things aside and let's move on with our lives. I think that's the beneficial way to deal with things.
It's really experience, isn't it, to
Absolutely.
help us grow.
Absolutely. It's taken me, I don't know, I think it's 15 years now how to deal with ego. And, I'm not done yet, obviously. It's a process, as is everything. That's why it doesn't serve to criticize yourself. Like if you're not where you think you should be, give yourself a hug or give someone else a hug so you feel the embrace, and address situations about your emotions, see how you feel, see how you can deal with these things, and see how you can create. But if we're talking about all these words floating around, and creator is one of them, and I feel like there's a reticence for many people to believe that they can actually create. So we talk about manifesting and this and that, but when it comes, the crunch time comes, a lot of people are hesitant about whether they can actually do this or not. And of course they can, but it's again perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because I think everybody's right where they need to be.
Yeah,
And just being okay with that can be huge because if you feel like you're falling behind or you're not experiencing what other people are
yeah,
feeling or experiencing, just to realize that this is an individual process really, and that you're right where you're supposed to be. Just continue that forward momentum in your growth. That's
exactly,
the important thing, the
exactly.
momentum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 100% an individual journey. There's a general energy, but we
Mm-hmm.
all deal with it in our own way. We are our own obstacles, and we need to accept that. And the moment we, remove the obstacle, we can actually flow forward. Um, there's a lot of talk about purpose. I feel like a lot of people want to get into their purpose path, which is to help others, and they don't know how to. But
Mm-hmm.
there is, I get a lot of emails about accreditation. Do I have enough knowledge? Do I have enough? Do I need more certificates and this and that, the other? And this is like, a kind of physical manifestation of I'm a creator because I've changed my life and I can take that knowledge and help others, or I need 25 more certificates and degrees to help other people. I.e., am I ready or will I be ready in the future?
Right.
Creator versus hesitance.
And
So
what do you tell people that feel like that feel that
I asked them
want
to
that next
look.
step?
I think that I'm not doing anything and you're
Mm-hmm.
not doing anything but being ourselves. You had
Right.
a life, you learned some stuff from it, you have your lessons, you've made a channel, you share it. I do the same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
there are millions of people who do the same thing. We're not, avatars of infinite knowledge. We just are infinite knowledge. So once you recognize that your lessons are valuable, and the minute you can put them into words and help others by, I have people that I've dealt with addiction as well. People that dealt with addiction, the people that dealt with abuse, all of these things. You got yourself out of that. You learn the lessons, share them with others. It's really that simple. If you think you need, a certificate from a specific person, go and get it. I personally think that your experience is valid enough if you recognize that you're a creator and that you have, already all the knowledge within your aura and your Akashic records and all of these elements. Again, it's the chicken or the egg. Am I ready or do I need more to be ready? But it's up to the individual person to feel that from within.
And that's really just following your heart, like you and I do. That's like,
Absolutely.
I've kind of ended up here just following my heart the whole way, and I didn't really even know where I was headed, to be honest with you.
That's the
And here
best
I
way to do
am.
things, I think.
Yeah, but it feels great to live for purpose, to
Yeah,
have that drive, and I think a lot of people are hesitant to take that first step. Maybe they feel like they need to switch jobs, but they're comfortable. But sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone, right?
exactly. I think overall in the world, it's your biggest, like, if you want to grow, you can. There was an analogy I saw on one of the Facebook things about a lobster shedding its shell and it's an uncomfortable experience because then it's unprotected for a bit and so on. Um, Comfort zone is the biggest obstacle you're going to have in your life after yourself. If it's the money or the comfort, the physical comfort. But I think that I've mentioned in the last videos that I've done, there's I call it the childhood fire that burns in all of us.
Hmm.
Like when you were a kid, I think you were more in tune with what you wanted to be. And then you went to high school, and then you went to college, and it was obvious that everyone has to go to college. You have to get a degree in X amount of disciplines. You have to get a job, a mortgage, get married, all this stuff. You put your dreams aside. I think they're still waiting to be addressed. And I
Mm.
thought they burn inside, and right now they're telling you, you know what, you can actually do this. But some people are not willing to believe that, so they stay within the comfort zone. It's a choice. But I think to sum all of this journey up, I think we deserve to be happy, whatever that means. If it means operating a coffee shop in Costa Rica on the beach or being, I don't know, a scientist, do whatever makes you happy. Don't be afraid of the consequences. Okay,
Yeah.
that's my perspective.
Yeah, it's almost like having that spirit of adventure. To you can look at
Absolutely.
something as being scary to step out of your comfort zone, or it can also be you can shift your perspective to be this exciting new adventure you're about to embark on. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you're going to follow your heart and end up where you will, and that can be it can you have to jump though, so to speak.
Yeah, there are, I don't know. I started my journey with, when I was younger, before all the spiritual stuff, reading biographies of people that I admire. People take risks every day. People go out on a limb every single day. People have crazy stories to tell, but you are that person. It just matters if you want to believe it or if you want to negate yourself and just, stay within the mold of what I described before, the mortgage, the marriage, and all this stuff. You can do all of these things, but they shouldn't be a primary goal. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I think honestly, and I don't say this to, as a popular thing to say, I believe everyone can do whatever they want.
Hmm.
It means literally anything they want. The only problem is whether they are willing to go all the way and, go through the obstacles and the circumstances that may come, or, go to the comfortable way.
And
And that's
that's funny that when you do take that first step, it might be scary to take that first leap, but you'll begin to see the synchronicities. Hey, this was the right choice. I'm
exactly.
following my heart. Things are falling into place. Things will fall into place in such a synchronistic way that you can trust the process is actually already happening very early on in the process. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the biggest steps here is to trust your guidance and to communicate with them. And once you've done that, obviously you're going to get the feedback by way of the universe, or, inner channelings, or however they communicate with you. But it's important to know that we've been alone for a very long time in terms of our mindset, and we're not alone. And the
Hmm.
minute you pursue this kind of weird journey, it's like, I think all movies that were ever created have a spiritual message to them. And
Hmm.
it's always a bunch of people going on an endless journey that's, it's risky and everything, and they always end up making it. And
Yeah.
that's exactly the point. Again, going back to childhood, half of the childhood movies are on, that topic. We need to be children again. We need to have dreams. We don't need to be. I call it kidulthood. I think it was a movie made in the 90s. I
Hmm.
think adulthood is boring. I mean, fulfill your responsibilities, but don't be a slave to them.
Right.
Dare to dream, dare to do, and dare to be happy. If you're complacent and you're well off financially and you're okay, but you're not happy, then figure out what makes you happy and go do it. And if it's weird, still do it. Because there was a reason you're kind of meant to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of times we'll overanalyze things. You're like, that's too weird,
Absolutely.
or why would I have that thought? But a lot of times those right brain uh, strokes of insight, if you will, are really they don't make sense a lot of times. But if you act on them, hindsight, you'll see you're like, oh, it makes sense looking back on it.
Yeah.
So just follow your heart, that very first feeling, and when you overanalyze it, you'll tend to talk yourself out of it.
Um, I can give you an analogy for this from sessions.
Hmm.
Any kind of session, like I do regression sessions. I'll take a client to go see a past lifetime. A lot of the times they get blocked. I always try to tell them that the first vision that we have, the first feeling, the first inkling is your intuition. Afterwards starts the ego to try to rationalize and tell you you're not experiencing this is not real, and all that. It's the same for life. You have your first intuition, your first need to succeed or to go in a certain direction, and you need to follow that. The ego will always find you 100 different reasons that are awesome why you should or shouldn't do anything, and it will be successful most of the time, but it's up to you again.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I've been dealing with we were talking just before the show that the different symptoms, and one of them is sometimes I'll just feel this overwhelming need to just lay down and take a nap, and like
Yeah.
usually 20-30 minute power nap, but it usually hits me in the afternoon. I hear other people talking about this. Do you find any common symptoms people are dealing with right now that you're hearing about throughout?
Also, well, I think throughout all these years, fatigue is one of them, obviously, without reason. One of the main symptoms was, I think a lot of our energy comes from from our digestive system. So the inability to digest certain things, your body asking to eat lighter foods, to eat less, to eat more regimented, because we consume more food than we should. And fatigue goes along with that as well. But sometimes the energies are intense, and it's important to, I'm going to say, baby yourself and just lie down and take a nap and rest, because you are going through an integration period. It's not always easy. It's demanding on the body as well, and it's important to take care of yourself first. That
Yeah,
would be my answer.
absolutely. Is there any other symptoms besides the fatigue that people are dealing with, like recently with
Yeah,
their
you have
energy?
dizziness. There's the tinnitus, the ringing in the ears. I think we've all had that. The
Oh yeah.
headaches, um, blurry vision sometimes. Um, Sometimes you have a feeling that, I think this is quite common, that you're not here. Like you may be walking on the street and 1 second you're fully conscious, and then it starts to emerge that it feels like your body's walking on the street, but you're not necessarily here. Like if you're, oscillating between dimensions,
Oh yeah.
it's a being. So I've had that many times as well. I think all of these things, it's important just to let them be, not to overthink.
Hmm.
And I really emphasize, as we talked about before, resting, because it is important just to let your body do its thing. It knows exactly what it's doing. Sometimes we try to push professionally to push through these things, and then we end up, regretting it later. So, just lie down and let your body integrate, close your eyes, and be out of your consciousness for a second and just integrate.
Yeah, the one you mentioned there kind of reminds me of something I've been dealing with. Like the other morning, I woke up and I had to ask my daughter. We went and looked at this house. I'm like, did we see a tree that was sort of spiraling around? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I couldn't remember if that was a dream or if I
Yeah.
had a dream about that or
Yeah.
if that really happened, And it was sort of this blur between whether or not that really happened. And I've been having a lot of that, and also thinking about memories as a child and just being flooded with this nostalgia just from the thought of it, almost like I smelled it or had a smell that I
Yeah.
hadn't smelled since I was a
Yeah.
kid. It just brings on this strong sensation, and I don't know. I know other people's talked about deja vu, so
Yeah.
it all has to be do with sound, or with
Yeah.
time. I'm sorry, with the way time is perceived or the dimensions like you're talking about. It seems like it's all in that arena of weirdness, the veil coming down maybe or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I was actually going to do a video on deja vu this week, so I
Oh,
can
really?
if you want. Because one of my obsessions when I was communicating with guidance was this concept of time, which is very strange.
Yeah, yeah.
There is no time, but there are obviously seasons, and we do age, so there is a linear quality of time. But what they shared with me is that time is a singularity. So past, present, and future exist all at once. That's
Hmm.
why you can ask your guidance. You already know what you're going to end up doing, what you can end up doing in the next, X amount of years, because de facto in the singularity of time, it's already happened because you have created it. That's a chicken or the egg. The
Right.
deja vu episodes are because things have already happened, and you in your consciousness, in the singularity of time, you've already perceived them as happening. That's why you're able to have these kind of visions. It's something that boggled my mind, because I think there is a higher propensity for these things happening now. We have a lot of weird episodes. I'm sure you have, many. I'm sure all of your viewers and people out there have them as well.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of weird things happening overall in terms of our dealings with daily lives, integration, and dealing with what you mentioned, beyond the veil. What's beyond the veil? And I think time is very malleable, especially now. You may notice time passing by very quickly at
Hmm.
times, and at other
Yeah.
times you have a completely different notion of time. Like you may be doing something and only a few minutes have elapsed, and it feels like 30 minutes. Okay, that's what we call time dilation. So there's a game there, and it has to do with your frequency, the state you're in that day, and the energies of that specific time frame.
That's wild. So are we going to see a ramp up in this weirdness with time?
I do believe so. Yeah, I mean, it has to do with I think the 5D journey is spiritual and physical meshed into one. So once you open up that gate, so to speak, you have what you call the veil, lifting the veil. You have access to a lot of things you didn't before. So you may see spirits, you may feel spirit, you may hear spirits, you may see energies around. I have a forest behind me. I even communicate with nature, with trees, have a kind of download and understanding what's happening without even knowing where it came from. A myriad of different things. Honestly, I just suggest being open to it and just letting it come.
It's exciting,
Because
is it? It's like we got all these
absolutely,
new energies and stuff there,
yeah,
and a lot of people, it's flowing all around them, and they haven't even taken note that something's changed around it. But it almost takes a little bit of directing your attention at the changes to even see them. Because I've noticed some people just it's business as usual.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
while other people are actually dealing with these things and taking note of it, I know the sky looks much different. I've been really enjoying the way the clouds and the sun and everything look. And it seems like they're shifting once again to me lately. I've been looking at the blues and the golden color in the sky. I'm like, this seems different again. It's like changing again,
Yeah.
But everyone just carries on. It's wild. It's almost like I'm in
And
my own little world at times, and no one's noticing it morphing and changing all around me. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Um, there is this thing that it's a scientific thing that says that all irises are different, so we all see life differently. I mean, we all
Hmm.
have different irises, and we all have a different perspective of the world in terms of color schemes.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think it's the same thing spiritually. Some people are, some people are actually running away into 3D life, into their obligations, so as not to experience these things because they're afraid of them. And other people are, more letting go and trusting in the process. I think that's what it boils down to. It's faith and experiencing life, because 3D life has not always been entertaining. It's been difficult, it's been survivalistic, but now we have a different scope. Also, I guess it has to do with age, but when you're 18 and you go into the forest, you just want to find crazy things to do. When
Hmm.
you're 30 something and you go into the forest, you just close your eyes and you listen
Hmm.
and you hear and you feel.
Right.
You take more time to just be in the moment. I think we're in that state of being, regardless of age now. That's what
Yeah.
I would see it as.
Yeah, definitely. So, what would you say? I know it's a lot of people in our community. They grow impatient. They just they're almost in a lower vibration just because they're so down on nothing seems to happen or not enough is shifting in their
Yeah,
life,
yeah,
and then they sort of pull themselves down into a lower and lower vibration and hang out in that area to
yeah.
where they're not even really spreading their love and light to others. They're just trying to keep themselves going. What do you say to people that's so far down and they need a hand up, if you will? What's a good start
Well,
for?
I think somebody, quote unquote, saved my life once, and by telling me that I created all the, because I had many different before I awoke to any of this stuff. I had
Mm-hmm.
things happen to me, and they were all exactly my biggest fears, one after the other. So I used to sit at night and say, "There's no way that this is happening without me being involved in this process somehow."
Mm-hmm.
And I want to take my time to figure out how this is happening, so maybe I can undo this. I think the biggest element out of this entire journey is to take responsibility for ourselves. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to expect, and has to do with ego and fear of trusting in your own power. If you want to expectations are problematic as well. An external party of whatever at some date in the future, because it's always in the future, to come down to earth and to save everything and to to make your life the way it is supposed to be, you're
Mm-hmm.
not being proactive at all in terms of creation. You're being completely passive. And I think it's a defeatist attitude. So I always try to tell people that the bigger, the most problematic situation you're in is because you created it for yourself, i.e., you can get yourself out of it. When you get yourself out of it, you'll be able to learn a set of lessons and share them with others. That's my understanding of the design. Now, whether you want to do that and take this endeavor upon yourself or not is a choice. If you want to blame other people, and you're the minute you start shifting blame to Mr. X or Mrs. Y, you immediately take your power away from that just by default. And then you'll keep on doing that because it'll become an addictive behavior. As you said, you'll lower your vibration. You get all frustrated and angry. You take your anger, you put it on other people. And it becomes a vicious cycle. There's no need for any of that. Whatever situation you're in, it begins with a simple mantra. I take responsibility for myself. I'm here and now. I'm in this situation. I put myself here, and I will get myself out of this. I would begin just from that. But again, this is a choice. It's not easy for people to hear. It's not a popular kind of thing to
Oh,
share with
tell me
people.
about it. Yeah, you tell somebody that, and you think it's going to be liberating to them to hear that. Hey, you don't have to depend on anyone else. It's no one's fault. You can pull yourself out of this, and at the same time, some people will take that, and it won't be a liberating message to
Yeah,
them. It'll be like, they'll get triggered by it. Actually, they'll be like, I didn't create this mess, and then they're still giving it away. Like you're saying, they're giving their power away to something else. And I tell my son that all the time because he'll be playing a game and he'll get upset, and he's like, "Well, that guy danced after he killed me in the game." And I'm like, "It was your choice to get upset. You didn't have
yeah,
to get upset.
exactly,
This is
exactly.
someone you don't even know, and he was able to do something to make you angry. You decided to let that make you angry, but you didn't have to. And it's really as simple as that with taking control of your life too, isn't it?"
Absolutely. We really, really, as a planet, forget the spiritual stuff. We really need to stop, um, blaming. We need to shift the blame, or we need to stop playing the blame game. There is a funny it was a funny cartoon on Facebook I saw a while back about change. So people are yearning for change, and then the next image, when somebody asks them to create the change, they run away or they just stand in place. That's how humanity is, and that's one of the biggest problems. We need to, stop blaming the government or parties for things that we're not satisfied with, and take things into our own hands and take care of things. If you're not happy in a certain place, and no matter how much you try, it doesn't reach your happiness quota, you can take your feet or your family or whatever, and maybe a bit uncomfortable for a while, and you can relocate or you can try something new. There's nothing stopping you at this time. For example,
Yeah.
in the States, you have, I don't know, 50 states and Puerto Rico. You can move around. There's opportunity everywhere. There's life everywhere. If you feel like you're stuck in one place, guess what? You can unstuck yourself.
Yeah.
But it boils down to you. If you want to blame your landlord or your parents or the government or the tax authorities, I don't know what, go ahead, But I promise you there's somebody very much like you living a different life somewhere, not far from you or far away from you. And they understood they had a choice. So I think
Yeah.
that's what it boils down to.
And the other end of that is the whole savior mentality. Well, I'm not doing anything because someone or something's going to come and fix it all in a moment for me. I can just sit back and relax and wait for that to happen. So
Yeah.
that can get you down too. So it's really that same. That would be the other edge of that same side of the coin. Of the blame game, blaming, having the victim mentality or, the savior mentality. You know. But it's all giving away your power
Yeah,
to something else.
exactly. I think I started my channel like this, so I guess it wasn't a very popular thing to do. But I
Mm-hmm.
actually wanted to help, like someone had helped me. I didn't want to go into, and from day one I started. I'm not going to do the whole something is going to come to save us, because eventually we'll find out that it's not. This is again my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you ask for an external party to get you out of a situation, you are giving away everything that you are to something that's not going to happen. Again, responsibility, ability to create, and not in engaging in victimization behavior. But I feel like it's quite predominant even in the Ascension sphere today, that there's a decent amount of people that are waiting for something, to save them, to resolve the situation for them. If we want to clean this planet up and want to clean the oceans and we want to clean, the air, we're going to have to do it. Yes, there are, we have cousins and out there in the galactic sphere that watch over us. Some of them walk around us. You may have interacted with them, you may have not. But again, when you look at your energy in terms of soul energy, when you look at all the lineages of, DNA that from other places and all that makes you, if you really want to wait for something external to come and resolve all of this while you sit and you drink your coffee, you're giving away everything that you are. All of your history, your cosmic lineage, your energy, your connection to guidance, the soul, everything. So,
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to do the work. We've done it. We've made the mess. Let's do the work.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think happiness, for a lot of people, they don't realize the happiness and the fulfillment is available to us right now. We don't have to wait for something to
Yeah.
happen in the future. We can enjoy this stuff right now. And that's sort of where I was at for a while. I didn't realize how much you can be in the moment, really enjoy what's happening around you until, usually it's you look back and you're like, wow, those were fun times, but I wasn't really enjoying them at the time.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
and having that happen over and over again has really changed the way I perceive things now in the now. I'm like, you know what? I'm in the future. I know I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to think back fondly on these times. Why wait till the future to think of this as being
Exactly. Yeah.
fond times? So you just really enjoy them now. And it's sort of that, the illusion of time we were just talking about. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think the whole chicken and the egg thing's really, you were saying that earlier, and it really made me think. I'm like, wow, that really does let you know right there that it all had to happen together, didn't it? It's like, wait a minute,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
wild stuff.
I think we really need to be a bit thinking outside of the box and be creative in terms of these things.
Mm-hmm.
We all live partially 3D lives. We have responsibilities, and I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that mold. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that if they're in a specific neighborhood, a specific area, because of family and heritage and this and that, they can't move out of that, and they can't gravitate towards things that make them happy. So they have to stay in the. This is the survivalist outlook, actually. Is to be
Mm-hmm.
with your pack and to be within your job that provides you for this and not the other, financially mostly. You can be creative. You can move to the other edge of the planet if you really wanted to. People do it every day. You can live a completely different life. The choice I've made with my spouse, especially lately, is to accept the 3D reality of, because it was tax season a couple of days ago, so we're looking at this and saying this is, in the States, there are many people that believe it's unconstitutional. There are many things like that I don't resonate with, because I know my government doesn't do for me what I wish it did.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to navigate the 3D parts of life at this time. We have to be flexible, and we can live the life we want on our own terms as long as we fulfill these kinds of responsibilities at this time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a dual life, so to speak.
So I know you deal with clients of your own. I'm trying to fix my
Yeah,
camera here off
yeah.
camera, but um, what kind of help do you offer to people that with your one-on-one services?
Okay. There are a few sessions. We have past lifetime regression sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I have some sessions where I just talk with a client and I offer connection to guidance and advice in terms of
Mm-hmm.
where they're at in terms of their journey, where they should be going. There is a special session connecting to purpose,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people can resonate with at this time. And we have also kind of more tangible, physical 5D business integration sessions, which
Oh,
help
nice.
people either create businesses with 5D values or integrate 5D values into their businesses. So it's not only about money anymore. It's about helping the community, providing a service, all these values that are missing at this time. What I try to do is not create a dependency of the client on myself. I try to create independence. So over time, it's preferable to give the client the ability to talk to their guidance and to give them a kind of clear idea of what their purpose is and clear some of those core wounds and core beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and set them free because they're meant to take this and do whatever they want with it. Okay, that's my mindset for the time at least.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
those are
good,
some of the sessions that we offer.
and as bringing people together too, that can we can all support each other in whatever people are wanting to step out and do. That's why I always encourage people to share whatever they're doing in the chat or in the
Yeah,
comments or whatever.
exactly.
I don't mind at all. I think it's great that we can support each other in whatever our endeavors are.
Absolutely. We're definitely a community. It's nice to see sometimes, as you mentioned in chat or in comments, because I started my journey when I was 23, 24, and I was very lost. I didn't have all this internet stuff. So it's nice to see, especially young people or people that have no experience and they're completely lost, be able to go online, find
Mm-hmm.
a channel like yours, like mine, like, I don't know, in 5D, the bigger channels or the bigger websites, and get
Mm-hmm.
information to understand that they are not going crazy and that there is a kind of parallel universe that's existing in correlation with the 3D life, which is, we know work, 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 survival, survival, and that they can find answers and people like them. That's the belonging aspect. Because you still, people awaken at different stages. They may have awakened 20 years ago, they may awaken in 20 years. So every day you have people waking up and they don't even know where to begin. And that's fair. So it's nice to have information and content online that people can go and connect and just feel like they have a home, people like them in the same journey that have been through the same experiences and help, obviously.
Very nice. So you got some events coming up. You want to talk about some of the?
Yeah, sure. We have I was going to do a Canadian event,
Mm-hmm.
but we decided to make an event that's more centrally located in Canada
Mm-hmm.
or to do something in the US. So for the time being, we have a course for the next 5 weeks, beginning on the 12th of May. And it's going to encompass what I was mentioning before, the need for people to be self-sustaining, to be independent. So an explanation of the process we're going through, the different parts of your soul, of guidance, the kind of functionality of the grand design, and the modalities of past lifetime regression and connecting to guidance, among other things. With a
Oh,
Q&A and
nice.
all this, just to give you the tools that you can use on yourself. And when you're ready, and if you're ready, you can go and use the same tools and help other people. Okay, I think that we are all mature enough, well, for the people that have been awakening for a while, to get rid of whatever baggage doesn't serve and start creating something. So if things pop up, we should have the tools to, if you have a wound or a blockage, clear that out, ask your guidance, okay, I did that, what do you want from me next? Just give me the bottom line and just engage, not to make it happen. So that's the first thing. There is a personal retreat that's going to begin in the month of May.
Hmm.
We're working with an awesome wellness retreat, Gaia Wellness Retreat, and located just north of Ottawa. They have a huge, kind of beautiful estate with a lake and canoeing activities and stuff like that. So we're going to have different retreats. It's going to be 1 to 5 days for now, and then we're going to do a 2-week retreat. The retreats, you basically customize them. You choose of the different components. You can have Reiki, massage. You can have sound healing sessions with me, of course. You can go out and trek, whatever as you wish. And we're going to have also retreats focusing more on addiction healing. I have a background in addiction, so does the owner of the retreat. And many people come for that specific reason, so we have that on the side as well. Just to give a supportive, setup for someone to come and heal, work on their wounds among people that have been through the same journey and understand what it feels like. So they're not, again, we're talking about community. Those are the two things we have now. We have events also that we've had events. We did a nice event on releasing physical illness. Again, the savior versus the victimization.
Hmm.
Going within yourself and finding out why we still have symptomology of illnesses, how we can alleviate this, and working on the core wound. So we did that last week, I think. So we have quite a few events like that. Those are the main things that are happening now at this time. We have a YouTube live stream on Friday at 7:30 p.m. EST on the YouTube channel. So that's, I think, in a nutshell, what's going on with us right now.
Nice,
And
and everybody
sorry, of course,
can.
we have. I forgot to mention this. We had the paperback version of the book that came out. You can
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
let me make it
There
big.
was a lot of work put into that. We had an ebook for a while, so now we're happy with that, and it's in bookstores already throughout Canada and the US. Slowly, we're working on with individual bookstores also to do book signings and book readings. That's it.
Very nice. Okay, so the best way, I do have your links below for those that are joining late. IndigoLightLove.com would be where they
Yeah,
can link to the book and the sessions and everything you got going on, right?
you have everything on the website.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Also on the YouTube channel, you have also on the about page, you have all the details.
Okay, yeah, I also have your Facebook down below too. So yeah, one of the
Yeah, on
things,
Facebook
get
as well.
back to addiction, I think one of the things I've seen quite a bit is like quite a few of us have dealt with addiction in this community, I guess, just to self-medicate and get through. And
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
us have
yeah.
transitioned through that and out of it. Some people, a lot of people still smoke weed and stuff too, and or occasionally drink. So everybody's where they're at. I'm not, passing judgment because
That's fine.
it's certain,
Absolutely.
like weed certainly helped me through in the past. So, and even occasionally, but it's something that you see, a common theme that you see, that people can sort of get pulled into it, to some of the harder stuff, if you will, especially
Yeah,
alcohol. I mean, it can be really damaging. But I think, not to be hard on ourselves, to realize that, it's part of like the whole idea of the star seat and everything. A lot of people had difficulty adapting to life here. So it was sort of their way to get them through.
yeah. I've experienced this personally, and I actually made a video a while back. I tried to come from a different angle, whereby I started the video just saying that I believe addiction is a human and normal response to the difficulty of the world we live in.
Hmm.
Okay. If you come from a different place and your mindset is different, the 3D reality of things and the difficulties and the responsibilities, A, they won't resonate, and B, if you're entrenched in that, I started when I was like a teenager, obviously. I think like many people, you just don't resonate. So you try to escape. And I think the first thing we do is not blame ourselves or act like we're weirdos and there's something wrong with us. I think it's a very, very logical response to how difficult the world is. And until we resolve some of the core issues with our planet and our economical system and our health system and how we treat each other, I don't see it as a weird thing to do.
Hmm.
It is not good for your body in many cases. Okay, I'm not going to talk about marijuana because I personally don't have a problem with. I don't use marijuana, but I don't have a problem with once in a while recreational use. Alcohol, I don't resonate with personally, but again, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. I have teachers and friends that still smoke cigarettes. I haven't for many years. It doesn't make them less. It doesn't make them more. It just makes them them. It doesn't take anything away from them. Um, we just need to be more accepting and not treat this whole topic like a pariah or something weird, because it's really not. That's my standpoint. I wanted everybody to know, if anybody's watching, that's completely kind of normal response to the difficulties that we go through in life, and you should not treat yourself like you're some kind of excommunicated being or something like that. Just get to a point where you don't need those things anymore.
Yeah.
Don't do them to run away, because we don't want to be here and we want to self-destruct. And I get it, honestly. We just need to get to a place where we were talking before about happiness, where you don't need to engage in these things. And whatever
Yeah.
you need to do to get there, take your time and do your thing.
Yeah, do it organically, I guess would be.
Exactly.
But yeah, they can be a great aid. And even within the community, the judgment that you still see going around, it's like,
And that's what I'm saying.
whether it's diet or recreational drug, whatever it is, it's like I sort of have the feeling that they're on their journey. If they need help, I'm here. I'm not going to be down on them though, because I've been there. So why would I be down on them? Because I've walked in that same place. So. But other people would say, well, that's not an enlightened thing to do. You're smoking cigarettes, or you're doing this or that. And it's like that judgment is bringing your vibe down much lower than the cigarettes bringing theirs down. You know what I mean? It's like,
Absolutely.
but it misses
Um,
it.
I want to touch on that for a sec, because I think I wasn't online before. Since I'm online, I do see exactly what you're talking about. I think to raise our vibration or to be more awakened, we need to accept one thing. When we see things, it's through our perspective. So the way I see my life is for me. It works for me, or it may not work, and I need to fix it. If I tell you what I believe is right for you, immediately I start with the angle of judgment. The point is, I don't know you. I don't know your background. I don't know how your brain works. I don't know how your emotions work. I don't know your family. I don't know anything about you. So there is a huge amount of ego in immediately telling the other people how they should be living. We need to accept people are exactly where they need to be. We need to give them a bit of credit that they know what's right for them and they'll figure it out. And again, I've met people in my journey who are kind of all dressed in white with an aura. They're completely vegan. They don't do anything bad, but their motivations are not clean. And then you'll meet a guy who's all dressed in black, smokes cigarette, listens to heavy metal, and is covered with tattoos. But when you need him, he'll be there. He'll have your back, and he's a good person, and his motivations are awesome. So the judgment is something I really don't resonate with, and I think everybody's different, and that's what makes the world awesome. And when we engage in judgment, it's not different than when we engage in racism or bigotry or sexism or misogyny or anything like that. So I would love to see that stop, but again, people are free to make their own choices.
Well, my hero Jesus was often found hanging out with the undesirables, if you will,
Yeah,
and not with the ones wearing the white robes, sitting on their thrones, if you will. So he was more of a
yeah,
rebel than he's portrayed in these days. But so yeah,
absolutely.
it's that same thing. It's like,
Yeah,
why are you hanging out with them? And it's that same judgment. And it really nothing's changed in 2,000 years. If you really notice, it's like things haven't changed as much as you think.
not really. But at the bottom, we don't know people until we know them. It's really that
Yeah.
simple. So it's not our place to come and tell people that we need to accept that. What is it, Lao Tzu or whatever? There's a quote: "The wise man knows that he knows nothing at all." Be
Hmm.
humble, stay humble, always learn. You'll learn until you die. Otherwise, this life is boring. Try to be happy, try to be humble, respect other people. You don't know anybody, you don't know what it feels like to be them, so you're not in a place to give advice, honestly. If they want your help, they'll come and ask. But I also don't resonate with people giving proactive advice without people asking. Don't eat meat, don't smoke, don't do that. Okay, let the person do their thing at their own rhythm. You did it
Yeah.
for you, God bless you, that's awesome. But, respect other people.
That's right. Yeah, some people feel like it's their mission to go around.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
know.
in case you didn't hear about this yet, it's like I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about cigarettes and vegan and vegetarianism and all that stuff. It's like it's not like the word hasn't gotten out. It's I don't feel like we need to go and tell a smoker to quit smoking because they haven't heard it yet. They didn't get the
Yeah,
memo.
exactly. Exactly.
You know what I
Um,
mean?
it becomes a bit like politics. I think that's what I don't resonate with anymore. It's like
Yeah,
I have the right
legalism.
answer. I know the answer. You don't. Let me, give you the answer. If you don't accept it, I'll keep on imposing it upon you until you do what I want, which is exactly the problem with the world. To be very honest with you, I mean,
Very
take
much
this
so.
sentence, have a look at the news today, and that's what it's about. So, if you want to be the change, if you want to see change, you have to be the change. I think it's that simple.
I really like that, and that really goes with what we were saying earlier about whether you're the victim or taking a proactive role. So yeah, if you're the change, that's taking that proactive role and becoming that happiness and that joy and watching the world follow.
I want to mention one thing. When I started the channel, I came from an angle, I was doing energetic updates, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, I hadn't been online, so I got a lot of feedback as to what is happening in this sphere, because whatever education I had was with a teacher in a physical sense. I I have shifted a bit towards motivation and towards what I'll call walking the walk, not talking the talk. Because I feel like you may meditate 25 times a day, you may be vegan, you may, go do forest bathing, I don't know, 1,000 different things, but the way that you act on a daily basis in terms of how considerate you are towards other people, how you help out, how loving, and all of these things, and compassionate and non-judgmental, this is everything that 5D is. If you're
Hmm.
not doing that, you're not doing the basics. You cannot build a house on foundations that are, not functional. So let's leave all this stuff behind until we can kind of integrate all these things. Which means, I don't know if you see a woman with a pram trying to get up the escalator and she's struggling, and I saw this in the metro the other day in Montreal, don't just walk by her. Help another human being, because it may be your wife or your sister or your daughter in that position. These kinds of like minuscule things that people don't do.
Yeah.
And until you do them, I don't think that we're doing anything. And it stems from your motivation. Do you want this society to function better and to be more loving, or do you want it to function better and be more loving for you? This is not about you or about me. This is about us.
Yeah.
So minuscule things, honestly, like treat others as you want to be treated, the golden rule. But I feel like, an inordinate amount of people don't do that. And we need to start from that. So that would be, my angle for the channel at this time.
I agree, and that's primary. That's the primary thing.
I
It's
know.
like all of our viewpoints that might differ are all secondary things. It's like the main thing is that we love one another and that we're like family. If we disagree on something, that's a secondary issue that isn't really it doesn't
Yeah,
it shouldn't make me treat you any differently just because you might have a
absolutely.
different
Yeah.
viewpoint. So
And
that's
I think also you don't get absolved the responsibility by doing a workshop or meditating or drinking, I don't know, clean distilled water and dressing all in white. These are tertiary things, and not even secondary. Be a good human being. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be kind, rewind. All of these quotes, we talk about them, but we don't do them. That's what makes me, boggles my mind sometimes. I think we really, really need to begin from there. So if you're engaging in a course of action and you haven't behaved the best, apologize. I find also people apologizing is very difficult for some reason or another.
hmm.
Say sorry, take responsibility, and treat others the way you want to be treated.
I go back to what you were just saying about uh, being. What was I going to say? Sorry, I was reading about just being the change you want to see. I think it's more important now, really, than ever, to do exactly what you're saying, and just the way we treat others
Yeah,
on a level that is, where it's really we can see the change happening all around us with the way other people treat us as well. When we, because it's a reflection, if you will, you know.
yeah. Listen, we're all. I will assume most people are, in a coupling situation or married. We have dealings with other people every day. It's
Hmm.
important, I feel, to be transparent, to be honest, to voice our emotions, to be respectful, to be polite. I think politeness is a long lost virtue. To
Hmm.
be, and to be loving and compassionate and understanding also of people's situation. And that's why I mentioned in the content that I put out a few times. My spouse had asked me once if I believe there are people that are sending all this stuff without even knowing it, just by
Hmm.
being. And I said, 1,000,000%, yeah. Because there are just people that woke up one day and said, I don't want to be treated this way, so I won't act this way.
All
And they
right.
don't know what Ascension is, they don't know what Arcturians are, they don't know any of this stuff. But they just understood that their behavior is the basis of all things. And guess what? Their life got better after they did that. So I think it begins with us, and just like the way I treat you, the way you treat me, polite, kind, courteous, respectful, not judgmental, not giving advice, unwarranted advice, just these basic things that are sorely missing at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we lie to ourselves more than anyone when we realize that we really don't know a lot of these things that have divided us as a people. If we can get really honest with ourselves and say, what do we really know? Is this really something to divide on? Because I know things that I really knew at one time in my life. Come to find out, I changed my view completely on it when I just through my experiences and stuff like that. And then I
Yeah,
think back at the judgment that I put out because I thought I was right, and then you live with that regret. And, you have to forgive yourself, of course, but moving forward is essential with letting that stuff go and realizing how much we don't know and being really honest with ourselves and say, is this something to divide over? Do I really know this enough to divide or treat this person like this or judge this person like that?
exactly. Yeah. When you judge, or you may not resonate with someone, then that's fine. Just say, I send you my love, but I think we should go our separate ways. The bottom line is science will back this up, even though it doesn't matter. Everybody's brain is wired differently.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I feel about this interview and I talk to you and the way you feel about this is completely different. So if I tell you anything or I try to judge another person, I do it only from the way my brain works and my perspective, my behavior, my experiences, my childhood, blah, blah, blah. That has nothing to do with you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's really one-sided. And if you have something to say and you feel like it's valuable, valid, put it on the table, present it to the other person. They resonate, they don't, they don't. You know, it's
Yeah.
not important to kind of try to push it or to impose it or to get angry about these things or whatever. Again, if somebody doesn't resonate, you can go your separate ways. It's really fine. It
Right.
happens. You're friends with someone, and the moment you kind of elevate yourself, spiritually in your vibration, there's a bridge you can't, a gap you can't bridge. Okay,
Yeah.
then you go yourself. It happens by itself, by the way. You may notice that
Oh, yeah.
people don't call you anymore. They don't talk to you anymore. Your frequency of emails is less and less. And if you sit with yourself for 2 seconds and you're honest, you don't have anything in common anymore. And it happens with family. It happens with everyone, and that's fine. Just part of the journey.
Yeah, it could be painful too sometimes for people because,
Absolutely,
you know,
100%.
that's why, like a lot of us in our group, we've sort of isolated ourselves. We've gone so far that we're not a frequency match for anyone anymore. Everybody's drifted away. We've just become too weird, and then we come together here and we find each other and we're like, oh, we can all be weird together,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and
Exactly.
share our experiences and share our love and all of that stuff, and know that it's all part of the game. And I think we're supposed to be separated. I think we're spread out evenly for a reason, instead of us being right next door to someone that is on a similar path as us. It's almost like, you know, you don't get two chocolate chips next to each other in the chocolate chip cookie. They're like you want it
Yeah.
spread out through the dough, right?
I've had weird experiences getting like clients from Papua New Guinea or like literally the four corners of the earth.
Yeah.
So it was weird to see that you can resonate with someone literally like I don't know how many thousands of miles away better than the person 100 meters away from you. I think we have to be spread out, otherwise it would be unfair to the planet, in terms of raising vibration. I do think though there are pockets where people kind of congregate.
Hmm.
People kind of gravitate towards countries of the high vibration or the low vibration. But I think it's a very normal process. I believe the only fallacy we make is what I'll call kind of the sanctity of a family and
Right.
the sanctity of your tribe. There is still, from what I see, a kind of a problem in the mindset that families. Well, a lot of us have had difficult times with our families and abusive relationships, and not in friends, community, sometimes also in the guise of religion. And I believe it's okay just to go and venture out on your own if you don't resonate anymore. But there may be mindsets that dominate, that say that you have to stick by this element for the rest of your life, even if it makes you miserable.
Hmm.
So I think we need to kind of liberate yourself and say, if you don't resonate with your own kin for many years, you need to be honest, and it's okay just to venture out in a different direction. And perhaps by doing that, you'll meet people that sometimes you resonate with a stranger more than your own family, or your own spouse, or your own friends, or your own siblings, or your own, I don't know, community. So we need to think about why that happens and be more flexible as well.
Awesome. Well, before we go, I wanted to share because I know you'll usually rebroadcast this on your
Yeah.
channel, and we're having a get together in August at East City Ranch. So a lot of like-minded people, like the cookies of the chocolate chip cookie, are getting together at East
Yeah.
City. So yeah, they were mentioning it in the chat there. So I did want to mention that because I'd love for you to be there, and anyone else. But it's basically going to be August 8th through the 11th at East City Ranch,
Where is
and
this? This is in
it's in
Austin or
Washington. It's in
Washington?
yeah. So it's let's see. What time zone are you in? Are you Eastern or Western? Like what
I'm on
time is it?
EDT, EST. Yeah. It's
Oh, so it's four
four.
thirty-five for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so it's on the it's West Coast then. So
Washington
it would
State.
be
Okay.
yeah, it'd be pretty far for you. But
That would be
anybody
pretty
else
awesome, actually.
yeah, and you could fly in too, because it's a 4 day thing,
I
and
wanted to be in BC in the summer because I want to explore more that side of Canada for a million
oh
different reasons. Washington is, I think, two states beneath or one. It would be easy to just to drive across the border.
oh okay,
That
yeah,
sounds good. I just asked about Austin because you had a New Year's event
yeah,
where you were, I think you were in Texas. I saw
yeah,
a video on it.
yeah.
That's what I was asking.
So yeah, it's
Awesome.
a Skywatch weekend. We're just hanging out there, bringing our own food and camping out. And anybody, there's like motels and hotels around if people just want to come for the event and then go stay somewhere else if they're not into camping. But they actually, I found out they have like pre-made or pre-set up camp tents and with air mattresses in them that you can just
Yeah.
rent out the whole thing. So those who are flying in don't have to try to bring a bunch of camping equipment.
Okay.
So yeah, they're having a big event July 4th. So I know they'll be able to handle whatever capacity of people we bring. But yeah, you're welcome to come out with your wife
Thank
and
you so
just
much.
yeah, it would be a lot of fun. And so yeah, I just wanted to get the word out about that. More information to come. I'll make a video for it. But people are coming from all over, so it'll be fun.
That sounds awesome. You can send me also the details. We can post it on our Facebook.
Oh, definitely.
You said in August or July?
It's in
We'll post it
August.
before, like a month before.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's the
cool.
8/8
Awesome. I have my
portal
birthday on the
actually.
second, so
Okay.
I'd rather be on vacation.
Definitely. Yeah, and people are usually share their gifts of healing and energy work or whatever. Like people were bringing jewelry and different glass art and artwork and all sorts of things to bring and share with the whole group. So it was really pretty cool the way just to have all these like-minded individuals coming together and just hanging out. Man, it was really cool.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
expecting it to be a
Hanging
lot
out
of
is
fun.
pretty cool.
Well,
That's
cool. Is there
awesome. I
anything
like
else that you want to mention before we go?
No, I just wanted to thank you for the experience. On a personal note, I really resonate with you. You know, I've done other interviews and it just flows. Like I can talk to you for another 3 hours if
Oh,
necessary,
definitely.
if I wanted.
Yeah, I'd like to start
It's like
having you
talking
back
to a
once.
friend. I don't feel like this is like an interview kind of setting. I just enjoy it. So thank you for after doing an interview with you the first time, I understood because I'd never done an interview before, what a good interviewer is versus, someone that doesn't resonate with you as much. So thank you for that.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like talking to a friend here. So I'd like to have you back more often, maybe once a month or something even. So
Sure.
you're always
Gladly.
welcome
Whenever.
back. Yeah,
Thank you so
that'd be
much.
cool. All right, lots of love and light to you guys in the chat. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. And make sure you check out Alex's links below to his website, YouTube channel, and his Facebook page. And you said you do your live broadcast every Friday at, I guess that would be 7:30 my time, 8:30 Eastern, is it?
No, I'm
Or
doing
is it?
I'm doing a YouTube live stream this Friday at 7:30 p.m. EST.
Okay, 7:30. Okay. Cool. So people can go over there
Yeah,
before the love stream and check that out and then head over to the love stream
sure.
afterwards. That'll be cool. All
Yeah.
right. I
I'm
appreciate you,
also,
man.
if with your, I'll if you want, I can repost this video also on my YouTube channel so people
Oh,
can see
definitely. Yeah.
and go to yours. Awesome.
Yeah. Use it however you want, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Lots of love and light to you guys. Peace.
Thank you. Namaste.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.